Hello, my amazing children, and welcome to Story Time with Teacher Sam. Today we're reading a lovely story called The Little Honey Bear and the Smiley Moon. So when you look at the front of this book, and this is by Tim Warnes, and when you look at this cover, what do you think the story is about? You see a bear, a honey bear. It looks like a bunny and the moon, and they say that it's a smiley moon. So how do you think the moon is feeling? Happy. Good job. Let's start the story and see what it says. Little Honey Bear couldn't sleep. Through his bedroom window, the moon was shining as bright as day. The snowy woods glimmered in the brilliant moonlight, and surely the moon was smiling at him. "Why, hello, moon!" cried Little Bear, and he rushed out into the glittering woods. Looks quite cold outside because it's snowing. There in the moonlight was Lily Longears making snow hairs. "Hello, Little Honey Bear," said Lily. "Couldn't you sleep either?" "Oh, Lily," said Little Bear, "the moon sailed right in front of my window, and she smiled at me." "Me too," said Lily. She is so big and smiley tonight. I just had to come out to say hello." She showered Little Bear with snow. "Catch me if you can," she cried, and darted away through the trees. Look at the little snow bunny. Look at how beautiful and glittery it is. They ran through the moonlight woods into a wide snowy meadow. High above hung the moon, and right across the frozen meadow ran a shining silvery pathway. "It's a pathway to the moon," cried Little Bear. "Just think, Lily, we could walk all the way to the moon and say hello." Little Honey Bear squeaked a tiny voice. "Can I come too?" "Course you can, teeny tiny mouse," said Little Bear. So off the moon path went the three friends. There's the little mouse. Can you see him? Tiny. So there's three friends. 1, 2, 3. Going along the path to the smiley moon. "What shall we do when we get to the moon?" asked Lily. "We shall have tea," said Little Bear. "We shall have moon cakes and moon juice." "What are moon cakes like, Little Honey Bear?" asked Tiny Mouse. "Why, they're round and flat and silvery," said Little Bear. "And very sweet, of course." "Let's go then," squeaked Little Mouse. Suddenly the night grew colder. A crisp wind whooped the snow into little flurries. The path to the moon grew steeper and steeper. "It's an awful long way to the moon," gasped Tiny Mouse. "My little paws are freezing." So Little Bear scooped Tiny Mouse into his paw and set him on his big shoulder. "That's much better," said Tiny Mouse, tucking his toes into Little Bear's thick, furry coat. "My paws are happy now." See, Bear's got a very thick coat because he's got his winter coat. Up and up ran the moon path towards the very top of the hill. Snowflakes stung their eyes and whirled into their ears. It was so cold. "Do you think we'll get there soon, Little Honey Bear?" gasped Lily. "Only my ears are getting rather cold." As she spoke, a great cloud blew in front of the moon. And the moon path suddenly disappeared. Suddenly it was very dark. "I don't like it, Little Honey Bear," said Lily. "I don't like it at all." "I don't think I want to go to the moon after all," said Tiny Mouse, "even for moon cakes." So off they set down the hill. They went up the hill to see the moon. Now they need to go down to go home. Down and down. They slipped and slithered until they reached the woods. "Perhaps the moon is cross and doesn't want to see us after all," said little Honeybee. "I want to go home," quivered Tiny Mouse. "Me too," gasped Lily. I think they were feeling a little bit scared. Which is okay, we all feel a little bit scared sometimes. But everything looked different in the dark and they couldn't find their way home. The trees creaked and groaned and the wood was full of shadows. "I think we're lost," sniffed Little Bear, "and I want my mummy." Suddenly, a silvery light flooded the woods. And up above, bobbing between the trees, the smiling moon appeared. "Hooray!" cried everyone, and then the moonlight fell upon a big furry bear. Her arms opened wide as she ran towards them. "Oh, little honey bear, I'm so glad I found you," cried Mommy Bear. And she gave them all a very big bear hug. "Oh, Mommy," said Little Bear, "we are going to have tea with the moon. But then she got cross with us and hid. And we didn't get to drink moon juice," sighed Tiny Mouse. "Or taste mooncakes," said Lily sadly. Mother Bear smiled as she took them all back to the warm bear house for a special moon supper with golden honey cakes and warm milk to drink. "The moon wasn't cross. She was there all along," she said. "Only the clouds were hiding her." "Mommy," said Little Bear later as she tucked him up in his bed, "I did so very much want to go and see the moon." "Why, Little Bear? We don't need to go to the moon to see her. She's always around us." Little Honey Bear looked through the window. Every tree was hung with 1,000 glassy rainbows in the bright moonlight. And then the moon sailed through the trees and smiled at him. "Good night, Moon," said Little Bear, rubbing his eyes. Then he turned over and fell fast asleep. And there's all beautiful snowflakes blowing in the wind. I hope you enjoyed the story about Little Honey Bear and the Smiley Moon. Maybe tonight you'll see the Smiley Moon in the sky smiling at you. Have a wonderful day, my loves. Bye.